Absolutely. Absolutely. Autism.
Absolutely autism.
Welcome to Absolutely Autism. I'm Amy.
I'm Lisa.
And I'm Janelle, and today we're going to be talking about children with ASD, also known as autism, and their eating.
Or non-eating.
Yes.
I commonly call my son's diet the white diet. He is not racist. But literally, he will eat things.
Ourselves for a second. Her laugh was what set me off laughing. You sound like that guy on 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown. You know, he's like, he's racist. Let me just clarify.
He's not racist. So the white diet is a visual thing, pretty much. They don't like anything with a lot of colour, like even an apple. My son, luckily, is obsessed with apples, which win-win, but he tends to like the more yellow apples rather than the red. He will eat the red. For a while there, he would peel off the skin.
Yeah.
Eventually he got used to the skin, but yeah, he'd peel off the skin to get to the white side of it.
For my son, his issues are both visual and sensory. He likes his food to be separated, and he also doesn't like the feeling of certain things on his fingers. So for a long time we had separate bowls for everything. When he didn't want to feed himself, or when he couldn't feed himself, I was having to pick things up and put it in his mouth simply because he just didn't like how it felt.
And for my son, it's definitely sensory. He likes all the crunchy food because he's very sensory driven as far as his mouth is concerned. So he likes crackers and carrots and chips and anything that'll crunch, pretty much.
And my son sits next to him at lunchtime and he doesn't like the crunch.
That's
Perfect match, those two.
All of these things in our world are completely normal. This is just how it is. All your kiddos will have different sensory needs. All your kiddos will eat one thing and then not another. And sometimes you'll think, brilliant, I've got them to eat something. And then the next day, nah, not eating it.
It's like, why? Why did you change that? You look, and it is a roller coaster when it comes to feeding your children. Don't feel the pressure from other parents going, oh, they're not eating enough vegetables, or they're not eating enough out of 5 food groups. It is okay if they're eating chicken nuggets every night of the week. It is a struggle that a lot of parents have, and I think for your own sanity, don't beat yourself up. If you can feed them vegetables and things like that, great, but listen to your child, listen to what they need, and if they really are struggling with the aversions and the different things, then feed them chicken nuggets, feed them toast.
I mean, obviously nutrition in children is very important, but there's ways around it. So later on in other videos, we'll talk about some really good tips and tricks that we've used to hide hidden nutrition into foods.
Sometimes your pediatrician may prescribe a supplement, something like that might help increase the iron levels if you're on the white diet, say, or you know, it's just things like that. There is ways around most things.
I don't ever stop offering the foods.
I
still put it on the table for him. If he eats it, yay, but if he doesn't, okay, we can work with this and introduce new things.
Absolutely. Don't ever stop trying.
Just take the pressure off. Sometimes the pressure alone can make a kid not want to try. It can cause the anxiety.
I guess, what's been your yaha moment? Yes, this is what I did, and they worked. Have you had?
I think I've tried a few things, and it's been mostly about the positioning of the food. So things just don't touch. And this is fairly common with our kiddos. If you can make sure that each thing is in its separate space on the plate, then for my son, that's happy place. And we've also tried the start to finish plate. So that is basically a plate that has lots of different little sections, and then when they get to the finish, they get a little treat. So their favourite thing, I mean, for my son, it was a couple of chips, and that was what helped him to get from start to finish of his meal.
See, my son's very different in that for him, food is not something he does for pleasure. Food's not something he does for a reward. Food to my son is just feeding that need that he has when he's hungry. So I can't do bribing with food. I can't do rewarding, things like that. So for him, it's more a high sensory issue. Everything has to be cut up into bite-sized pieces. It's less overwhelming for him if a sandwich is cut into little squares than if I was to hand him a sandwich cut in half.
Yeah.
So for us, realising this, we actually opened up his world to a whole heap of foods based purely on the presentation alone.
Yeah.
My son's lunch boxes and his meals at home looks very much like a very elaborate grazing platter. And but it works.
Yeah.
Which I guess would be great when you think of foods that you know that your child won't eat. Experiment with that food. Do it in different things.
Yeah.
Cut it, make it smaller, make it bigger, you know, do things like that.
Put it on a skewer.
Yeah.
Put it into a...
Yeah, but let's reiterate again, don't put extra pressure on yourself. Because if you're stressed, I can guarantee your kiddo is going to be stressed, and therefore you generally don't get the results you'd like.
Yeah. I did have another suggestion on something that worked with my son. When he didn't like a food, like he didn't want me to put it on his plate, what I would do is give him the opportunity to serve it up. Say, look, you're having this, but take as much as you want. And it worked. He would take a bit smaller than what I would have put on.
It's giving them that control, isn't it? Which makes them feel at ease. Yeah.
But also not taking the control away from us by him having too much choice on what he gets to eat. Because it's a balancing act, I think.
It's really important, I think, to remember that the difference with kids on the spectrum and the problems they have with eating is they're not just being fussy eaters. It comes down to a whole range of different issues going on there. The top 4 are some of the things that we've discussed. It can be the feel of the food. It can be how the food smells. Sometimes just a strong smelling food can put them off of wanting to swallow it entirely. The sound of the food, which we touched on. Some don't like the sound of the food. Some seek out that sound of the food. And also one to remember is reflux and digestion issues. It's a very hard thing for our children to communicate to us about.
When we were discussing what to talk about the other day, when Lisa said reflux and digestive issues, I had a bit of an aha moment because I figured that some of the stuff my son won't eat could very well be due to reflux, which I had not even thought about prior to talking.
It's definitely different things that we want to offer to you to think about when it comes to eating, because we know that it's not a very simple task, and we know that there's different ways to do all these different things. So
and different ways to approach it, different ways to look at it. There's
Absolutely.
lots of websites, and we will include some on our socials, of tools that you can use to encourage eating.
We'll put some pictures up of things that we've tried, and I'm sure Lisa will very gladly cut up a sandwich and show you.
I will show you my child's beautiful presented food. People look at me like I'm super mum sometimes with the presentation of his lunchbox, and it's not that. So I would quite gladly like to just chuck your sandwich in there, but no.
And we'll find some helpful links as well that hopefully, this doesn't have to be a massive thing. Just keep trying, and hopefully what we've said in the video will help.
I've got some really good tips that I want to add on how to hide nutrition into foods too.
For our next topic that we'll post in the weeks coming will be eating out, the struggles around eating out. Obviously we've dabbled on eating. Eating out can be another
that's a
big challenge.
whole different kettle of fish.
And we've got great ideas for that one as well.
Because if you're not judging yourself at home, you're then opening yourself up to
Even more
the other
judgment
diners.
being out. Yes. Well, don't forget to subscribe, like and share our videos. And thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.